Good morning. It's Sunday, and it is bright and sunny, but cold. It's very cold here. So that's my weather report for the day. Thanks for joining me. Anyway, I feel like funny I do that every day because I'm so waiting, like I'm so anticipating springtime that I can't stop talking about the weather right now. I just want to go outside now, even more than ever, right? I just want to go outside and do a thing out there. Cleaning yard work is one of the things, or cleaning yard work, cleaning the yard, doing yard work, kind of getting outside. I'm actually going to take a kind of a more meditative approach with it. I think I'm going to try it. That just that like being mindful of just like the small little details. Now that we have the time to do it, I'm kind of thinking that might be what I want to do. One of the things that I found really positive, my wife was excited. She came in and told me today. She signed up for a free online course at Yale University about wellness, and it's free, and you can just take whatever. I guess there's other courses there too. You can pay $50 and get a certificate, but I don't know that she needs a certificate for it, and she didn't feel she did either. And I don't know what you might use that for, but just having like going through the experience and accomplishing something, I think would be really good right now. But I mean, we're all here, sort of maintaining our health in a way, or trying to. There's good things, but there's so much uncertainty, and we go back and forth very often. Moment to moment, feeling secure, feeling okay, to feeling, sort of stressed out and overwhelmed. And so we just have to take care of ourselves continuously as we move forward, and realize that we are going to go back and forth through this, and it's all momentary. Everything is just a moment, right? And just trying to manage that. But it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel upset, stressed out. It's okay to, and this is something we got into a discussion about right now, actually, just like 10 minutes ago, is that it's okay to still want things. Like we're in the middle of purchasing a house, right? And, all of a sudden things feel very uncertain about that. How would it happen? Are they still going to allow, people to get together for a closing? Do they do virtual closings? Like what are all the components of this? How do we hire movers? Like all the weird things that would happen. Um, and and it's that just going through that whole, and it's just one day at a time. We're just sort of taking one day at a time. We're going to keep doing what we need to do to prepare, while doing other things around here, and we keep moving forward. I was actually very impressed with myself. I don't know how this happened, but my screen time on my phone popped up today and told me that I cut my screen time by 28% in the past week. Given everything that's been going on, I don't know how that happened. Like with all the news and everything, um, I have no idea how I did that. So that was somehow a positive. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Um, and I did notice though, like I yesterday watched the part of the task force press conference around noon or a little bit later while I was eating lunch, but I had to turn it off after a while. And I started to actually in the shower. I turned on the news to listen to it while I was in the shower, and I started hearing what they were talking about, and it's sort of the same thing over and over now. So I just turned it off because I'm really becoming aware of that need to get away from it. And like especially the specific news, whether it's about masks or equipment or whatever, none of it's changing. So I just got away with it, or away from it, and put on a podcast and listened to a podcast, and I felt a lot better. Coming into this 9:30, 9 o'clock hour, than I would have, I think, if I would have been more in the news. So yesterday did not do a lot of news watching, but we watched that one press conference. Um, but I'll be honest with you, I binge watched a couple episodes of that Star Trek Picard series that I told you about. It's actually very well shot, a very well produced show. Not as cheesy Still some cheese, but not as cheesy as some of the old Star Trek shows used to be. I played some video games with the boys, relaxed a little bit. I did not read yesterday, which I fully intended to do, and I even set myself a little bit of a goal, but I kind of copped out, like just shirked that responsibility. But I will be doing it today. Last night, the boys and I started watching Funny Farm. It's a Chevy Chase movie. If you guys don't know what it is, you probably do. But it's a movie that I think, if I remember correctly, was on HBO nonstop in the 80s. I feel like I've seen this movie 100 times. But it was like one of those movies that you never think about. It's not an instant classic. It's not like The Breakfast Club or one of those 80s movies. Like, we watched Better Off Dead the other night, a movie that I have not seen so much, but is so like quintessential 80s. Can't Buy Me Love. Like, those movies are just movies I think about with the 80s. But when you like, Funny Farm is just this like underappreciated movie that I've seen 100 times, and my kids sat down to watch it with me. And it's funny because there's this weird thing with 80s movies. They're rated PG, and they don't even mention like any kind of like any content other than language. But there are still some scenes in there that I'm like, like there's a couple times they reference horsing around, and then like they like start slinking down off screen, and then like the post office, the postal worker, starts honking and driving down the street, and so he jumps up to go catch the guy, and the wife gets up all disappointed, and she's putting her shirt back on, and I'm like, and my boys are like, "What's horsing around?" Like, oh my god, like I don't want to have to answer this right now. It's 9:30 at night, and we're going to bed soon. Like that's because PG in the 80s is not PG now. Here, I'll digress and give you a nice advertisement for a website called Common Sense Media, commonsensemedia.org. You can go through a database of movies and find out how they rate it, like what parents age, like what the parents think is appropriate, and what the kids think what age it's appropriate. And they give you ratings based on sex and violence and language, so and they describe it for you so you know what you're going into before watching a movie. I have a friend that works with Common Sense Media, and I go back to that every single time we start watching a movie, except for this one because I thought it was perfectly safe. And it was. Really, it's really not that bad. Although there's a movie where they eat lamb fries, which are sheep testicles. And so that started a couple questions too. Yeah, I'm like, all right, we got to go. After that scene, I was like, all right, we're going to bed. We'll pick this one back up tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, but the movie is just like one of those movies that's just like, it's not hilarious, it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's just been like an entertaining movie to watch. Even if somewhat inappropriate with your kids. So, Angel, $2. I want my $2. Like the Paperboy. Robin, good morning. Angel, good morning. Kimberly, good morning. Angel, my husband and I were here. I'm going to put you up on the screen. My husband and I were just talking about closing on a house yesterday because our house in Ohio is pending. Yeah, and Ohio is one of those states that's completely shut down right now, right? You have to keep up with me and let me know how that's going. I wonder where home values are going. I wonder, like, there's so many moving parts right now with the economy and just all of it. I wonder where we're going with this. And I tell my wife, all we can do is control what we can control right now. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward is funny because it's been my mantra forever, right? I mean, as long as I've been doing Define My Day, back before we even had the book, keep moving forward. And so I keep telling her, like, we keep going forward, until we reach a roadblock that we can't, like, that's insurmountable, right? But in the process, like, we're going to keep moving forward and to handle what we can handle. And I told her, I said, look, handle everything you can handle around the house, the things that you want to handle, the things that, that we need to do. And I'm going to double down on what I need to do for the business. I'm going to try to make sure that we are secure there no matter what happens in the next coming weeks or months. And we keep going through the processes that we need to go through.
And, whatever happens next week, next month, it's also fluid. We don't know what's going to be going on. They could, it's funny, the few little stories I did see that popped up on my phone yesterday, between antivirals and treatments, and like there's things popping up constantly. And you never know who's going to have some sort of a breakthrough with this, with all of the world's resources focused on this problem. I think it's a testament to what we can accomplish uh, as, diverse societies. It's amazing. It's just amazing it would be amazing if we took this time to realize that if we focused our efforts towards, whatever it might be, whether it's climate change or equality or whatever, instead of all the infighting in the one-upsmanship, we could be in a much better place. I just it's amazing. When you take the time to focus in one direction, and I've always thought that sort of in the back of my mind about, America. We come together during a war. Like, I don't know that America was any more together than during World War II. And we were all focused on going one direction and defeating a common enemy, an evil enemy, right? And it's when that was over and we got back to our lives and started focusing on the pettiness and started focusing on me rather than we. And it you know it all like sort of culminated, I guess, maybe if you want to look at the 80s and what that all was. But then after the 80s, we just started splitting off more into groups, and now it's like classes and it's not race. So, it is race. I mean, there is still race issues going on, but now there's so much class warfare and um, the political parties are further apart than I think they've ever been. And to see that is disheartening. And we've had moments where we came together, like after 9/11, but it's never been a long term thing. In fact, it's almost like we came together and then blew out into opposite corners again, even further. And so I wonder if this is a teaching moment, um, and how long it needs to continue to happen to get the maximum lesson. That if we focus on a result and we focus on the good of humanity over what my individual needs are, we can all end up better. And it's I don't know. I wish I was a little more eloquent that I could explain it better, but I think that's probably the limit of what I'm capable of doing. So, good morning, Bonnie. I don't know if I remember. I think I stopped at Angel, so I didn't get to your comment there. But good morning. Good to see you. Thank you for joining me. Um, all right. So what I have right now, I came across in the USA Today a list of 100 things to do while we're stuck in the house. So I figured I'd go through a couple of them. Feel free to discuss in the comments, and we can slow down and talk about them. I'm not going to list off 100 things, so I'm just going to go through maybe like the first 10 or 20, and I'll post the link so you guys can read them all. But one of the things is complete a puzzle. Like I saw. It's funny because I saw a post online about somebody. Their dad was completing a puzzle for years, and he passed away before doing it, and they were sort of left there. And during this time, the family came together and put the puzzle together for the dad. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. Robin, going back to the differences I was talking about, says also generational differences. My generation never disrespected the generations older and told them they don't know anything the way the generations younger than me are doing. I think you're right, but I think it goes both ways. I actually attended a seminar in the fall about engaging millennials. I think millennials want to be heard, but I also think that they're mirroring the disrespect that they feel from the older generations. There's like this. I don't know if it's Victorian era, but there's this veil of respect that a lot of people grew up with, where you were told to respect your elders, and it was like that for a long time. But I think as the past few decades have occurred, as I think certain and a lot of people had less and less respect for others. Whether it was companies' disrespect of their employees, employees' disrespect of their superiors, people's just general disrespect of each other. The millennial generation and even the younger and the maybe even Generation X has kind of looked at it and said, this is BS, right? And I think that that old hierarchy that a lot of people were living under got sort of blown up, and the OK Boomer crowd. It is disrespectful, and they use it too freely. But I think it's also because they feel like we're so off track, and following the old ways of doing things aren't getting us anyplace good. But I think a lot of people forget the '60s and flag burning and protests, and the older generation felt just as disrespected by that as a lot of people may be feeling now by anything the millennials are doing. So I think that people want to be heard, and now especially if you go to Facebook comments, everybody has an opinion and has zero interest in hearing anybody else's opinion. It's not a conversation anymore. It's just yelling, whether it's through comments or whatever. And that's a big part of the problem. And I think everybody's responsible for that. I don't think it's just one generation. Hey, Karen. Good to see you. Karen, we are going through a list of things to do while we're stuck in the house, other than, feeling bad for ourselves. That's kind of the caveat that I have in there. I think that we should make this a good time for ourselves. And in fact, tomorrow, one of the topics, or the main topic, are 3 things we can do to make sure we're using our time wisely. That's a working title. I'm working on it. I'm going to send it out in an email. We're going to talk about it live tomorrow morning. So the second thing you can do is start a journal or blog. It can be about the coronavirus, but it can also be about specific interests from chess to cheese. This is me sort of, I need to work more on my blog. I've been doing more of these videos. I was already in the habit before this whole thing started. But now that I'm finding myself with a little bit more time, I can decide how to use that time. I can invest more time into writing, or I can invest more time into watching TV. And I'm going to start feeling really guilty about myself if I keep watching TV instead of doing the thing that I know I need to do, which is writing. So this one hits home for me. Karen, hi everyone. Hi, I already said that. Robin says, all good points, but way too many step out with a BA degree and expect to get fast tracked to the C-suite in a couple of years. And I know that feeling because I thought when I graduated, I was going to walk into a C-suite job myself. And the thing is that we're not prepared for it. And that goes to the way we've been raised, right? We just expected, as somebody that graduated in the 90s and kind of went through this, like, not quite so entitlement period, but like, however I came into it, I expected to just all I had to do was get through college and I was going to get a job. And college didn't prepare me in any way that I needed to be prepared for work. And I hit harsh realities the minute I graduated. And it's just we're so stuck on the process of go to school, get good grades, go to school again, get good grades, go to school again, get good grades, graduate, get a great job. We've almost taken away the personal responsibility to develop ourselves. And I think that started a long time ago, and that's what we're getting the result now. Karen, awesome. Thank you. Good morning, Anna. Thank you for joining me. And Kimberly says, I find myself enjoying the journaling section of Define My Day planner lately. Yes. I think the journaling section of Define My Day right now is more important than anything. I think you're going to get a record of what we're going through now. I think that for your grandkids is going to be something that they can go like, wow, okay, this was real, right? But it's also cathartic, just thinking, writing, going through your thoughts. It's a big, big deal right now. I think that the value of journaling right now is much higher. Where I think even a couple of weeks ago, I would have said priorities and distractions were my big thing. Thank you, Robin. I'm going to post this because I don't get that much validation very often. I am so right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, number 3. If it won't bother your neighbors, dust off that old instrument and practice. Right? I mean, this is actually one. So I've never played an instrument. I took piano lessons when I was a kid, but I did not want to. But we have a piano in the house. And there's an app, actually, I think it's like $10, and I can't remember what it is. I downloaded it years ago and I never used it. That you put on your phone or your iPad, and it'll teach you and show you the fingering and the line, the music, the sheet music, and to teach you how to play the piano. And I've thought about doing that. I've considered it. It's like one of that long list of things that I can do with my time right now, and so far it's still kind of low on my list, but might get up there. It also might be something that I do with my kids. Number 4, text all your executives, or I'm sorry, execs. It doesn't say execs, it says exes. Text all of your exes just in case you have one more thing you wanted to get off your chest. I actually don't think I like that one. I don't think we should be opening that door. So I'm gonna say no, don't do that one. Number 5, write poetry. Perhaps you can craft a haiku for Mother's Day or something without a specific structure. Just try it. I actually think this is kind of good. It's kind of that freewheeling, almost like journaling in a way. I think it could light up your brain a little bit. I like that one. Number 6, watch all the really long movies you've avoided until now. I love this one. We have a stack of movies. So we're cleaning out our DVDs, right? Like we're throwing away DVDs we've never opened or never watch anymore. Like we bought them, watched it once, and that was it. Maybe got them on sale or whatever. And I don't buy DVDs anymore. Sometimes we buy movies on Amazon Prime, or we'll buy the kids' movies, the DVDs. We're keeping those, Blu-ray, whatever. But we have all of these movies that we've never even opened, right? Even the Godfather movies, we have those on Blu-ray. It's never even been unwrapped. We have a Mel Brooks collection that we've never opened. So we're going through those now. That's how we watched Better Off Dead the other night. We've owned it. Don't know that we've ever watched it. Download Duolingo or a similar app and teach yourself a foreign language. I love that idea. I've always wanted to. Actually, I always thought it would be funny for me, like if I had learned Chinese into it's like that. I actually saw somebody do this on TikTok, I think, where they were in a Chinese restaurant and all these Chinese people were talking. And then they heard something, and so the person said something back to them in Chinese, and everybody's like, "What?" I always thought that would be funny. Arabic is another one I wanted to learn too because my grandmother could speak it. Never taught it to anybody else. Although I think she really only knew she could hear it, couldn't quite speak it. I remember watching with her when I was a kid. We were watching a Chuck Norris movie, and there were guys speaking Arabic, and she could tell us whether they were actually saying what the subtitle said or if they were not. Like if they just changed the subtitles. Yeah, but I always kind of wanted to know that. The only words I know are the swear words because that's really the most that I heard around the house. Finally, read Infinite Jest, Les Miserables, or even The Stand. Go all in and read Ulysses. You got this. If you're interested. I think that's just basically any book. Like if there's a book that you kind of wanted to read, then go for it. Actually, when I had a computer store, one of my favorite teachers, not because I liked the class so much, but one of my favorite teachers was like this little old lady, and she walked into my computer store with a computer problem, and she was a customer of ours for a couple of years before she passed away. And she actually gave me a copy of Beowulf that she used to hand out in her class, and I've not opened it. I might actually open that one. So I missed seeing her. She was a nice lady. Here we go. Number 9.
Meditate. Try laying down with your eyes closed, palms up, while focusing on your breath, or spend 20 minutes sitting cross-legged and repeat a soothing word to yourself in your head. The latter is more like transcendental meditation. Uh, I mean, I recommend this no matter what. It's funny now, and like because it's so chaotic, it's really hard. I've had a really hard time with it because I have so many thoughts in my mind that like force their way in. But we have more time now to do it than ever. So like it's one of those things. I try it, just do it, and the harder it is for me is an indication that you need to do it even more. Focus on it. Like just get like don't focus on it. Let me backtrack that. Just sit down and do it, and whatever happens, happens. Commit to doing it for 20 minutes. Whatever happens, happens, and just keep doing that and see what happens. Number 10, face masks, moisturizer. Oh my! Treat yourself to a 10-step skincare routine you don't have time for during a normal work week. I think this goes for everything. I think this goes back to my meditative gardening or whatever you want to call it that I'm looking forward to doing. Whatever you're doing, rather than rushing through it, think about it as like break it down to all the smallest little components, right? I did this to get through the Christmas season when we were packing shipments for Christmas because we were so busy. We get stuck. We throw on music. We try to distract ourselves so that time goes by. But what I did try for the process was like focusing on each step of the process. Picking up a box, I'm folding the box in. I'm folding the box this way. I'm taking the tissue paper. I'm putting the books on the tissue paper. I'm wrapping them. And as you focus singularly on each step, I did that for a while, and it's hard, but it brings some clarity. And after a while, like you get into the zone with it, and time flew by. Time flew by, and it felt like exercise. It actually felt really good. And so, whether you're treating yourself to a 10-minute skincare or 10-step skincare routine or whatever, if you just, these things that we rush through, getting dressed, getting showered, washing the dishes, break it into like a really intentional, mindful process, and just, like feel everything at the time, observe everything. And it becomes just a really cool process at that point. And even the boring things that we force ourselves to do and struggle through, it feels different. I don't know how to explain it. Just try it with something. Pick something small and try it and see how that works out. Gemma, I'm going to take a step out and look at the comments real quick. Gemma says, I always have a list of things to do that I still have not accomplished yet. Hence part of the reason for, I put the wrong, I put the comma in the wrong place. Let me post this. I always have a list of things to do that I still have not accomplished yet. Hence part of the reason for Define My Day, simply because life is so busy. Yeah. And this thing has given us the opportunity, this right now has given us the opportunity to stop and focus on the little things a little bit more, right? And I look at, I don't have much knowledge of the Japanese culture. What I know, I usually just get from movies. But thinking about The Last Samurai, and we just watched Karate Kid last week with the boys, and they loved it. But the part of The Last Samurai that made me just love the movie, it's a Tom Cruise movie if you don't know it, but is the simplicity and the discipline of the culture of the samurai up in the mountains, right? They focus on little things, the perfect cherry blossom, that sort of thing. And if you look at Miyagi in The Karate Kid, the daily labor, like the beauty of that guy's garden and the house, everything surrounding his house,
Everything was done with such impeccable detail. And we don't have that in our culture. We're so undisciplined. In everything we do, we just try to hurry up and get it done rather than focusing on the steps in the process of each individual act. And, I think now is our opportunity. We say progress over perfection, but maybe now is that time when we start looking at maybe not perfection, but that continuous improvement of the small little tasks that we have in our lives. And again, going back to anything from washing the dishes to the yard work to maybe tasks we have for work, breaking those things down into these intentional, mindful steps. I think that idea of making the components of our life that much more valuable would hit right here for a lot of us. Number 11, look at pictures of puppies. I don't think you can go wrong with that one. Number 12, put together the most attractive charcuterie board possible, but you can only use foods you already have in your fridge and cupboard. I actually like that one. Again, going back to that attention to detail, but also using the things that we have in our cupboard that we might not have opened in a while. Maybe we need to get rid of it. And that's a challenge we've tried in our own house. Let's go into the deep, dark corners of our freezer, and if it's still good, let's eat it. Take note from Tangled star Rapunzel. Tangled is a movie, if you don't know. I think it's a Disney movie. Who has an entire song about how she spent her days alone in a castle. Activities included in her ditty were ventriloquy, candle making, paper mache, and adding a new painting to her gallery. Number 14, write actual letters to family and friends. After that, write thank you notes to service people who you remember went out of their way for you. I think that's incredibly nice. Gratitude. Appreciation. We talk about that quite a bit, right? Learn calligraphy. YouTube can help. Learning any new skill, I think, would be great. Finally, read the rules to those long and intense board games you've never played with the family. Encourage the family to play. Yep. Put on a soap opera, mute the sound, create your own dialogue. That can be fun, especially if you have a glass of wine with it. Have a space in your home where all of the Tupperware goes. Organize it and actually match lids to containers. That's a daily struggle for us. Try on your clothes and determine whether they spark joy, a la Marie Kondo. Better yet, go through this process with your junk drawer and supply shelves. We're actually going through that because of our move. So, and it's funny because we like the way the house looks now with nothing on the walls. And so it's funny, that change of perspective. We just had this conversation because, with the uncertainty of can a move even happen right now? We're going to keep moving toward it. And in fact, we like the way the house looks much open with less on the walls, with less stuff on the surfaces. The house is now bigger for us. It doesn't feel so closed in. So regardless, we're going to keep doing it and see how it ends up. And then we can decide what we really love about all of our stuff. Livy, you have, let me see. How do we get preteens or teens involved? I think it's a mixture of enticement and forcefulness. We have a kid going on 10, and they have to go and do their own thing, right? They have to. They're going to want to hang out with their friends, even if it's online or on the phone or whatever. And I think it's setting an expectation. I think it's planning it out. Look, I even told my kid this morning, you can be on your PlayStation until lunch. At lunch, we're going to eat together. And after lunch, for 2 hours, you're going to do something creative. We can give them ideas to kind of spark it, or we can let them do it their own way and figure it out themselves. Usually, they go through 20 or 30 minutes of tantruming and boredom and complaining, and then they actually realize that it's not going to change unless they actually change it, and then they get into something that they really enjoy, and then the magic happens. they don't quit and sometimes go over the allotted time because they're so into doing what they're doing. It happens with my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old. The problem, I think, with a lot of parents is that they give up too easy, right? They train kids to know that if they push hard enough, the parent's going to acquiesce and say, you know what, okay, fine, do whatever you want. And my kids, and although like lately they're pushing more, my kids go through that phase and then realize that they're not going to win and that they just need to do what I'm asking them to do, or it's just going to prolong the situation. And then they go off and they find things that they really get into. It's been that way with reading, with playing together. It's a lot of different things. But when we train them that if they push us hard enough, they'll get their way, then they know that. And even subconsciously they know that, and they just continue on that behavior. So my recommendation for getting a preteen involved would be to, set a clear expectation. Like, look, you can do what you want until this time. And then at that point in time, I want you to do this, and this is good for you, and this is why. You can do it together, but I would set an expectation. Like, look, and start small. If it's not something that's been going on for a long time, you need to start small. So you say, for a half an hour today, I think we should play a board game. And you can save it and come back to it later, tomorrow, whatever. Look, tomorrow we're going to do it again. And then add more in and just kind of grow it. And you'll find what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy doing together. But that's the way I would handle it. Yeah, the tantrum and the motivation. Yeah, the tantrum is big. Yeah, it's like weathering a storm. We gotta be strong enough to weather that storm. And then once they blow themselves out, all right, now we can make some progress. Number 21, have a roommate meeting about how to be more considerate of one another, especially while you will likely be spending more time together. Bring baked goods. All right, so this is whether you have a roommate or a spouse or kids, whatever. I think having these meetings to reset is probably almost a good daily activity. If you want to keep things aligned, with the kids, what we expect of you, cleaning your own spaces, being considerate. When I'm working, I can't have you making a ton of noise. My wife and I, look, I'm going to need, my wife needs a nap right now at 2:00 every day. She's out, take a nap. Expected, right? So we work everything else around that. There are things like we need to keep aligning, especially now that we're forced in the spaces together. Need to continue to understand each other. Bake those goods. Yeah, so bake all the stuff we have around the house. There's a good recipe for a flatbread that I actually think one of our users posted. Like a quick, I think it was Navajo flatbread or something that you can just basically flour and water. Looked really good. I'm going to try it. I think I might try it today. Watch films that won Oscars for Best Picture. Good idea. Watch films that won the Independent Spirit Awards for Best Picture. Watch films that critics say should have won those aforementioned awards. Read all the New Yorker issues piled on your desk. I have Fast Company issues that are taking up a lot of space in here right now. I'm going to go through those. Will Tom Hanks into recovery from coronavirus by watching every Tom Hanks movie chronologically? Tom Hanks movies are really good. We watched Big a couple of months ago. Just a good movie. We tried to watch Turner and Hooch. My kids did not like it. Knit or crochet. Hey, if you can, do it. I'm not going to do that. Use Skype, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, or Marco Polo to video chat with your long-distance friends. I would do that on a regular basis. Number 30, try out at-home aerobics or yoga videos. Consider downloading a fitness app with curated workout playlists. Absolutely. I would absolutely do that, and people have been talking about it in the group. You can pay things like Beachbody, but there's also a lot of free ones. There's free ones on YouTube. And we've had a woman we posted. She does online stuff on YouTube. Caroline Jordan. Look her up on YouTube. Good stuff. She actually just posted one today. Exercise you can do to alleviate sciatic pain. So there's always good stuff out there. You just got to search for it. All right, so that's the top 30 I can continue going if you want, or you guys can tell me what you guys are doing in the comments. Maybe I'll say a few more while you guys are writing in the comments. Let me know what you're doing right now to pass the time. What are some good activities that you like? Or did you get anything from these ones that we've already talked about that you're going to try? Let me know. I'm going to blow through the next couple just to kind of let you guys type in what you got going on. Look at yourself in the mirror and attempt a self-portrait with paper and pencil. Ooh, that could turn out bad. Take a bubble bath if you have bubbles. Order them on Amazon if not. Add a glass of wine for a bonus. Make a classic cocktail from Negronis to Manhattans. Don't forget the garnish. Coloring books, they're not just for kids. I told you about that stress relieving coloring book my kid has, right? I could see that being like a mindfulness practice. Take time to reflect. What have you accomplished in the last year? What goals are you setting for yourself in the next year? I mean, I don't know what to say there. Of course we should do that. I talk about that like every day. Write a short story or get started on that novel. Actually try to reproduce something you see on Pinterest. Probably fail and then do it again. Right? Failure. We want to fail doing things. Now is the perfect time. Fail. Let's go. Keep on going. Clear out the family room and camp indoors with all blankets, popcorn, and scary movies. We've done that. Finally get around to fixing that broken doorknob. And loose tile or cleaning up scuffed walls. I've actually started doing that, especially now that we're like cleaning anything we touch when we come back in the house. Like we get those the wipes, the Clorox wipes, and you realize like all the places like you don't necessarily touch the doorknob. Sometimes you touch the door on the door and not the doorknob. And so now we're trying to realize like all the places we touch, and I've been doing all that stuff. Like basement light switches and things. We've been just doing all that. Acquire a foam roller and treat yourself to some physical therapy. Man, if you've never tried a foam roller, that really can get in there. It's good stuff. Pretend you're 13 years old and fold a square piece of paper into a fortune teller. You put your thumbs and pointer fingers into. Proceed to tell fortunes. Yeah, okay. Learn how to braid via YouTube tutorial. I might be able to braid my hair pretty soon if I can't get a haircut. Throw out your too old makeup and products, including sunscreen. Interview your grandparents and save the audio. That's a good one. Go through your camera roll, pick your favorite pics from the past year, and make a photo book or order frame versions online. I like that one. Go on a health kick and learn how to cook new recipes with ingredients you may not be using already, from miso to tahini. I like that one. Create a Google document of shows or movies you're watching and share it with family and friends. Make a list of things which you are grateful. Oh, yes. We should be doing that every day anyway. Have your own wine tasting of whatever bottles you have at home. Make up stories about the journey of the grapes to your mouth. Okay, let's stop here. Have your own wine tasting of whatever bottles you have at home. I mean, it's the same as picking out the foods, right? But here's the thing. Make up stories about the journey of the grapes to your mouth. This is that part that works on your brain, right? So the mindfulness, the imagining of that, the grape being grown in France or Italy or Napa or Erie, Pennsylvania, who had to work to grab those grapes, who squeezed them, who fermented them, who bottled them, who sold them in a store, where it traveled, how the truck got it to the store. All of that whole process, that process of mindfulness and appreciation. We talked about this in the past. The business person I met, that when he brushes his teeth, he imagines how that water got to his faucet. It came from the river or the ocean or whatever, through the treatment plant, the people that had to put the pipes into the ground. And he says, thank you for all of that. That right there, that taking the time to appreciate all of the work that goes into the things we take for granted and saying thank you for it, right? And understanding that other people have slaved away, like and literally, potentially, if, with some products, like people are literally giving up their lives to provide us with the things we take for granted. So like taking that entire process apart and looking at how that happened, that's big. And when we practice that in the abstract that way, it grows the components of our mind so that we can now take the opportunity to be open to understanding the person that's right in front of us, or the people that are commenting on Facebook, or the people that we disagree with in the other political party. If we can do that just a little bit better, that to me, going through this list, that to me right there is huge. Take apart. I mean, it comes from a simple thing. How did that grape get into your wine glass? Take apart that whole process and understand, the person that planted the seed, that grew the grapes, the worker that picked the grapes, like all of that stuff. Imagine all of that. Picture that in your mind and take that apart. All right, I'm going to get into the comments. I want to end on that one because I think that's a great place to stop here. But let's go into the comments now. Robin says, I'm going to put you on the screen here, Robin. Instead of flour, water, bread, try Greek yogurt and flour, more protein. Tasty has an easy recipe. Google it. Very interesting. Very good. Thank you. I like that. Angel says, painting my house, which is more challenging than I expected. It seems easy, right? I know. I went through this. Painting the house seems incredibly easy. It's the freaking details. It's the corners. Like, when does one color end and the other one start? And how do you get it so that it's aligned? Because the corners aren't perfectly straight. There's like little variations. The wall to the ceiling. The ceiling's white. The wall is a color, even if it's not that different. That's not easy. And then it gets all over the place. Painting, like I did that one year when we first moved into this house. I don't think I will ever do it again. I appreciate people that paint well. Robin, that bread is called roti, or roti. I don't know how you say it. R-O-T-I, if anybody's looking it up. Gemma says, I'm working on my recipes. My goal for years has been to write a recipe book. That's awesome. My grandmother, for a long time, worked on her Lebanese recipe book because her recipes were a little bit different than, the ones you typically get in a store. And she never quite finished it, and it meant a lot to her. But it was. She intended much, and I think that in the end, I don't know that she thought about it much, but I think those are the things we should do. The things that we always want to do. If you're going to regret not doing that recipe book, I would do it. Christina says, discovered Easy Off makes pots and pans like new. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to have to remember that because we have some pots that I keep looking at and I can't scrub the sides. It's like stuck. Easy Off. I like that. I'm going to have to try that. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to get off on my day and, get moving here. I hope all of you guys are doing good. Anna says she's taking up baking, going away. She's going to weigh 300 pounds when all this is over. It brings me joy. I feel ya. So I've been losing weight, right? And I thought to myself, I had this thought. I was watching somebody eat Red Vine's licorice, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if I don't survive this, I don't want to not have Red Vines one more time. So, I bought my boys Doritos so that every so often we could have Doritos, and I bought myself a package of Red Vines. I bought my wife mini eggs, and I'm like, well, I can't continue. I can't just eat Red Vines all weekend. Like, I need to continue back on my health kick here. I don't want to give back all my loss. So I'm trying to, as we're sitting here doing things, I'm trying to ration, but I'm also trying not to over enjoy the stupid things that I wouldn't normally let myself have. So I'm walking that line. All right, I am going to get going now, though. I got to get get to the boys. We're going to play some games. We're going to screw around a little bit, and then we're going to make lunch. So I thank you for all you for joining me today. I hope we can be a valuable part of your day, and continue to be going forward. Tomorrow we're going to talk about 3 things we can do to keep the right mindset through all of this. So join me tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. We'll be here for that. I'll also send out in an email an announcement for that tomorrow morning. But I hope to see you here again tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Have a great Sunday.